Welcome to Philosophy 6 at Las Positas College. We are working on Module 7.1, Exercise Set 3 from the Hurley Mindtap. Hopefully you're feeling pretty good already about solving these proofs. You've made your way through the learning logic tutorials, sample questions in the book, but I thought I would work through one of the longer problems with you really quickly, just to give you a sense of some additional strategies as well as how to navigate through the Mindtap resources. You can see that the interface for exercise set 3 is basically identical with the interface as it was for exercise set 1, so you should be pretty familiar. So let's take a look at our problem here. We have already laid out for us 4 premises. We have a conclusion that we need to derive, and we know that these questions are multi-step questions. So let's get started and see what can we do to get to this conclusion P from the premises that we have. Now there are all sorts of tricks and strategies that you might use to work toward that conclusion just by looking at the premises and seeing what rules might help you get where. But let's assume for this example that looking at the 4 premises you just have no idea what to do. Well, the proof engine built into the Mindtap assignment here is going to let you make any number of moves that you want to make as long as they are valid moves, which means that even if you end up with additional lines that don't help you solve the proof, as long as those moves are valid, you won't get marked off for those, and those additional steps might help you in the long run to solve the problem. So if I don't have a strategy, I can just say, okay, well, what kind of moves can I make using these 4 rules from section 7.1. Well, in premise 4, I see a not C, and here I see an if-then with C as the consequent, which means I can apply the not C to the C here and do modus tollens. So using modus tollens, I will end up with not C, therefore not L if and only if N. I'm using line 1 and line 4 to get there, and my rule was modus tollens. If this allows me to generate an additional line, I will know that I did this line of the proof correctly. It's a valid move. And our new line is generated, so it looks like so far so good. Now, what to do next? We have our new premise here, not L if and only if N. And I notice that here I have a disjunct, the or, and that if I was to use disjunctive syllogism, if I can negate half of the or, then the other half has to be true. So I do have not L if and only if N, which means I can negate this with the disjunctive syllogism and prove that this follows. I used lines 2 and 5 to get there, and I used disjunctive syllogism. Let's see if we did it right. Looks like we did because we got to the next line. Now let's start using a little bit of strategy here. I know that I have to get to not P, that's my conclusion. In my initial premises, P actually only occurred in this line. We were able to get if P then not E off by itself here. So there's a good chance I'm going to be using this P to make some progress here. Now if I'm thinking about modus tollens, I know that if I can get not E, I can get not P, and that's my conclusion. I can also see a chance here to use modus tollens. I have not C, and I have C as the consequent of this conditional, so I know I can get not E. So I can kind of look ahead and see my steps there. But even if I couldn't see that, if I'm just looking through the lines to see what I can do, I could still identify this as a case where we can use modus tollens. So not E is our conclusion from 3 and 4, and we used modus tollens. Let's check it out. It checks out. Now we can see we have not E here, and then in this premise we have a not E that is itself negated. So we can use modus tollens once again. If not E, then not P. I used line 6 and line 7, and it was another case of modus tollens. Check it out to see if it worked. Looks like it was a valid move. And now we've got what we're always looking for. We have our conclusion that we had to derive. Our conclusion was derived. Every move to get there checks out as valid, which means if we submit this, we should be good to go. And everything checks out. Our answer was correct. Here's the points we got for our first question. And you'll notice that with exercise set 3, the try another version function is working. So if your answer was incorrect, you can always try another version. And what it's going to give you is the same question, and it's going to allow you to try to solve it again. If you get it right the second time, that answer should replace your first answer, and you should be good to go to the next question. Notice, however, that if you tell Mindtap that you want to do the question again, and then you don't do it, and you go to the next question, all of your points that you earned on that question will be lost. So don't tell Mindtap that you want to try another version unless you're actually going to try it. Another important thing to notice is that once you've gone past a question and you've gone on to the next question, when you come back to that question, the option to submit the question again is gone, which means you need to do the try another version after you submit the question and before you go on to the next question. As far as I can tell, there's no way to go back to a question and resubmit another take if you've gone on to the next question. So if you want to do another take, do that take as soon as you get feedback from your first take on that question. Now the assignment should allow you to repeat the entire assignment once you're done, but that's not something you want to do. You don't want to go back and retake all 17 questions after you're done and after you've submitted it. You want to fix the individual question right after you got it wrong if you want to update the question. But remember that just like exercise set 1, if there's a conclusion and you have derived the conclusion and every step along the way is valid, you can know even before you submit the question that you're going to get it right. Well, I hope this quick review of exercise set 3 from module 7.1 helps to orient you to the exercise and helps you feel more confident in your ability to be successful.